King David dedicated all these gifts to the Lord, as he did with the silver and gold from the other nations he had defeated, from Edom, Moab, Ammon, Philistia, and Amalek, and from Hadadezer, son of Rehob, king of Zobah. Lots of victory, almost hearkening back to, like, Joshua, when they were first entering the Promised Land, and, you know, taking control of all these different towns and areas, and supplanting all sorts of different kings. What's up, cool people? My name is Matt. Welcome back to our Bible study. Alright, we are looking at 2 Samuel chapter 8 now. David's king, fully and completely over Israel. He's established a capital. He's got himself a palace. Wanted to make a temple for, you know, the Ark of the Covenant, to give that, like, a better abode, because he thought, why do I get to have this nice fancy palace when the Ark of God is in a tent? But he's told by God, no, you're not going to do that. One of your sons will, though. And furthermore, I'm actually going to establish your family as an eternal dynasty over my people. And then David proceeds to be grateful for all that and basically say how undeserving he is, and also, you know, extol the virtues of the Lord. But then we get to this chapter. So here we go. 2 Samuel chapter 8. After this, David defeated and subdued the Philistines by conquering Gath, their largest town. David also conquered the land of Moab. He made the people lie down on the ground in a row, and he measured them off in groups with a length of rope. He measured off 2 groups to be executed for every one group to be spared. The Moabites who were spared became David's subjects and paid him tribute money. David also destroyed the forces of Hadadezer, son of Rehob, king of Zobah, when Hadadezer marched out to strengthen his control along the Euphrates River. David captured 1,000 chariots, 7,000 charioteers, and 20,000 foot soldiers. He crippled all the chariot horses except enough for 100 chariots. Okay, so last chapter it was, you know, God was mentioning how he would give Israel, you know, peace and protection from its enemies. Maybe, I guess this is what was actually meant, that, you know, that David in particular would be so successful militarily that their enemies are going to be either too weak or too afraid to do anything to them. And this is a big leap toward that. So, Philistines significantly weakened. And then there's this other king. Oh yeah, and it also mentions the Moabites being significantly weakened. I mean, 2/3 of their soldiers, at least, just completely wiped out. And the rest made... it says they became David's subjects and paid him tribute money. So, tribute money wouldn't necessarily mean that they were, like, slaves. Might be more of, like, you know, an annex of some sort. Or, like, just another territory that is under the governance and control of David. Okay, a couple of notes to get through here. Hebrew says, by conquering Metheg Ammah, a name that means the bridle, possibly referring to the size of the town or the tribute money taken from it, in reference to Gath. I had never heard Gath referred to as that in any previous notes, though. So, interesting. But also, Gath was also the town that, like, the guy who temporarily had the Ark of the Covenant lived in as they were bringing it from, I want to say, Kiriath Jearim to Jerusalem. Because there was a whole incident with somebody, I think even a priest, like, touching it to try and balance it as, you know, it slipped a little bit in transport, and then that guy got struck dead, and David was all like, hold up now, I don't want to bring trouble with us. But then this guy in Gath prospered because it was there in his house. Anywho. But Gath was a major Philistine town. Of course, David also had a little bit of rapport with some of the Philistines because of previously living there, so, hey, you know. Interesting situation on the whole. But anywho, so, Philistines conquered. Moabites conquered. Zobah conquered. Note there by 7,000 charioteers. That says in Dead Sea Scrolls in Greek version, Masoretic text reads 1,700 charioteers. But, I mean, I guess it depends on what the chariots were like, because having 7 people per chariot, I don't know. That's one of those maybe, maybe not sort of things. But also 20,000 foot soldiers, and that's what he captured. Never mind the ones that were probably killed in battle or whatever. Then we move on to verse 5. When Arameans from Damascus arrived to help King Hadadezer, David killed 22,000 of them. Then he placed several army garrisons in Damascus, the Aramean capital, and the Arameans became David's subjects and paid him tribute money. So the Lord made David victorious wherever he went. David brought the gold shields of Hadadezer's officers to Jerusalem, along with a large amount of bronze from Hadadezer's towns of Tebah and Berothai. Okay, so that was actually further follow-up on the whole Hadadezer thing, who was the king of Zobah. Turns out some others came to try and help Hadadezer. A bunch of them wound up dying. And now there's also plunder taken. Partially, at least, in the form of shields and, yeah, and just other bronze items. Note there at Tebah, as in some Greek manuscripts, Hebrew reads Beta. Different name, same place, basically. Oh yeah, and it mentioned he also placed several army garrisons in Damascus. So, sort of like how a conquering country might have a military base in, you know, some other region that it controls. That's the sense that I get from that. Possibly to help keep it in order, but also, like, if they get in trouble from other people, to possibly help them. And we get to even more military conquests, it seems, in verse 9. When King Toi of Hamath heard that David had destroyed the entire army of Hadadezer, he sent his son Joram to congratulate King David for his successful campaign. Hadadezer and Toi had been enemies and were often at war. Joram presented David with many gifts of silver, gold, and bronze. King David dedicated all these gifts to the Lord, as he did with the silver and gold from the other nations he had defeated, from Edom, Moab, Ammon, Philistia, and Amalek, and from Hadadezer, son of Rehob, king of Zobah. So lots of stuff coming in. Lots of victories, lots of territory gaining and control, and lots of just loot, gold, silver, bronze, and other things, other supplies, probably. And Edom hadn't even previously been mentioned in these conquests. Nor do I think was Ammon. Or maybe even Ammon. But anyway, lots of victory. Almost hearkening back to, like, Joshua when they were first entering the Promised Land and, you know, taking control of all these different towns and areas. And supplanting all sorts of different kings. Let's see here. And this stuff was just like, because David took down the enemy of this other king is like, hey, thank you, congratulations, here's a gift for you, because you did me a big favor. Note there at Edom, as in a few Hebrew manuscripts and Greek and Syriac versions, most Hebrew manuscripts read Aram rather than Edom. But whichever region it happens to be, you know, that's another one on this list of places that David had victory over. Then we get to verse 13. So David became even more famous when he returned from destroying 18,000 Edomites in the Valley of Salt. He placed army garrisons throughout Edom, and all the Edomites became David's subjects. In fact, the Lord made David victorious wherever he went. So David reigned over all Israel and did what was just and right for all his people. Joab, son of Zeruiah, was commander of the army. Jehoshaphat, son of Ahilud, I was about to say Alihud, son of Ahilud, whatever, was the royal historian. Zadok, son of Ahitub, and Ahimelech, son of Abiathar, were the priests. Sariah was the court secretary. Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, was captain of the king's bodyguard. And David's sons served as priestly leaders. See, if David's sons were able to serve as priestly leaders, kind of makes me think back to the whole idea of David maybe being a priestly king in his own right, because he had worn the priestly garment as he was celebrating bringing the Ark of God to Jerusalem. But anyway, so maybe that wasn't supposed to be Edom up here, because now Edom is mentioned down here. But I don't know. It's not, like, super important. Big picture. Okay, but this says most Hebrew manuscripts read Arameans rather than Edomites. So that's actually probably the same root there. You know, what reads as Edom and Edomites in these two verses. So Joab was like kind of already known and established as a commander of his, or at least a significant military leader. He was one of the main leaders who fought against Abner when he was leading Ishbosheth's army, and they had that conflict. Joab was also the one who eventually killed Abner for killing his one brother. And then it mentions all these other names of people that were in these important positions. Hebrew says of the Kerethites and Pelethites. I guess rather than saying captain of the king's bodyguard, it would have been captain of the Kerethites and Pelethites. For this guy, Benaiah, here. And David's sons served as priestly leaders. Note there says David's sons were priests. But doesn't say which sons of his, doesn't say how many sons of his. So, while it might sort of imply that it was all his sons, it doesn't state that outright. In any case, it seems like David's kingdom is getting further and further established and well known, and his fame is spreading throughout the land. And of course, he's getting things set up even better for the long term with having all these leaders established. But that's all I got for 2 Samuel chapter 8. Okay, so apparently David heard from God last chapter that, you know, Israel was supposed to have victory over its enemies and stuff like that, and David's like, all right, let's make some victories. Because that's pretty much all of what this chapter was, just victory over different people around them that had been causing them trouble. But, yeah, further developing and expanding David's kingdom, though, as well. So, as always, like and share if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell if you're on YouTube to get updates when I post new videos. Just give me a follow or whatever you got to do if you're seeing me anywhere else. Speaking of other places to find me, look down in the description for info on social media pages and links to find and follow those. And, of course, leave comments down below everything with any thoughts you have. So that'll do it for now. Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I'll see you soon for another video. But whatever the case is, till next time, stay cool, people.